In a world, he's the NFL insider. He's ESPN's Adam Schefter, who joins us on the program. And as he adjusts his screen there, Schefty, can you see us here? I got the Danettes and Will Ferrell here in Dublin.
Hello, Danettes. Hello, Will Ferrell. Hello, Dan. And they're having me adjust the camera, so I apologize for any of the technical glitches there, Dan. My apologies.
You look great. Before we get started, as every guest has had the opportunity, if you have a question for Will Ferrell before we get started, or if you have a statement you'd like to make, feel free.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank him for all the entertainment and laughs he's provided. He would have no idea about this, but the year that he ran the Boston Marathon, I remember being at an event with him right before the event started, and that was an event where that was a tough race to get through. But I remember him running in that race. I remember him making people laugh before, as he always has, and we want to thank him for all the great entertainment he's provided over the years, Dan. How about that?
He has his Boston Marathon jacket on today and his actual time that he ran.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so he's got that on right now.
I think at that event I tried to make a Rosie Ruiz joke, and they were like, no, ixnay, no.
We
don't talk about that.
Too soon for them.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the anniversary of Andrew Luck, and it was on this day. And I know that you joined us before to talk about that story, but is there anything else to add to the Andrew Luck story that since he retired that night when you broke the story?
Well, I haven't had a great track record of talking about how stories came about on your show, Dan. So,
okay, but you own that story. You crushed that story.
I actually have in my phone, this is my 14-year anniversary of joining the worldwide leader. And it's the 4-year anniversary of the Andrew Luck story. So the Andrew Luck story came on the 10-year anniversary, my 10-year anniversary of joining ESPN. And it's a night I'll never forget because, again, it was my mother-in-law's surprise 75th birthday dinner. And I remember I almost got a flat tire. We were racing to get there to this restaurant in Piermont, New York. We walked in. She walks into the room. We yell surprise. We sit down. I get a text. Are you free? And I'm thinking to myself, it's the last Saturday in August. It'll be the last Saturday I'm free until February. My mother-in-law, bless her soul, just walked in like, can I just have a night to celebrate other people, to be left alone? And I said, it's my mother-in-law's 75th birthday. Is everything okay? And they said, just had some information to pass along. And so the rest is history. And I remember following the story. And 2 minutes later, the very first phone call came from Andrew Luck's former backup, Matthew Hasselbeck, who was working at ESPN. And I love Matt. And he said, did you just report that Andrew Luck's retiring? And I said, yeah. And he said, are you sure? And I said, am I sure? I reported it. And he goes, I was just with him all weekend in Indianapolis, and he never mentioned a word. Now, I will say at that point in time, Dan, I had a mild heart attack. Okay, I had to be revived. The 75th birthday dinner was a little bit ruined at that point in time. Because I thought maybe I got something wrong,
but it was during the game. ESPN, so you're tweeting it out. Andrew Luck doesn't know it's out. He's on the sidelines, and then fans start to get the tweet, and then they're booing him at halftime, aren't they?
No. First of all, again, it was. I think it happened late in the second half or the fourth quarter. It was not in the first half.
Okay.
It was as they were walking up. As it became known to me, there were people in that organization that knew about it all week long, multiple people. And I don't know why they did this. I wonder about this to this day, and it's even more true today as it was 4 years ago, but so few things hold up in this day and age. Yeah. And he began telling people like that Monday or Tuesday. And by Friday, a lot of people in the organization knew. And so they were planning to do it Sunday. Now, in what universe is a superstar think that something's going to hold up all week when other people know? I always remember when, the Broncos were training for John Elway, and I was out in Denver covering the Broncos all those years. And the great vice president, PR person there, Jim Sacamano, said, they said, we can't tell anybody. We got to keep this quiet. And they said, if you anybody yet. And they said, just this person and this person. And they said, well, if you told all those people, then it's not holding up. And in this particular case, there were, players who knew, and there were people in the front office that knew, and there were coaches that knew. So it's surprising to me that they thought it would hold up to Sunday. And obviously it didn't. And I feel bad about that. But, that's the fact of the matter is he was one of the great young players in the game. And it was an enormously significant story. And who knew when it was going to come out?
But we still don't know much about this. And I don't know if it just clicks.
Well, you know what? You know what? Seth Wickersham of ESPN spent a lot of time with him. The Athletic did a piece. I actually think that they did a great job. All those people kind of sitting down with him and talking to him and just reading between the lines. My recollections of hearing all this, I think he was physically and mentally beaten down from everything that he had to go through. And he's such a smart guy and so thoughtful that it was more important to him, rather than becoming the first billionaire quarterback, to get his life back and to do what he wanted to do and to preserve his body and to get out of the mental funk that football left him in, because it was always a struggle to stay healthy. Now, look, he can speak to why he did it far better than I can, but gleaning together conversations I've had, listening to the Athletic podcast, reading Seth Wickersham's work, I think that's, from what I can tell, a fair summation of some of the reasons that he did walk away from the game in such a shocking, surprising, unexpected fashion. It reminds me, though, Dan, I remember when I was covering the Broncos, again, back to that, I was in a dorm room in Greeley, Colorado. I believe it was a Saturday night, and word came out that night that Barry Sanders was retiring. And that's the only equivalent that I could equate it to. And Andrew Luck was even younger, and that team was built even more around him. Like, the Lions never seemed to be very good, but Barry Sanders was stunning, and Andrew Luck was stunning. And anytime a great young player leaves the game that early, it's always a shock, I think.
He's Adam Schefter of the Mothership. How did the Niners whiff on Trey Lance?
Well, here's the thing. The guy has thrown, since he was recruited out of high school, 492 passes. He missed a COVID year. He's been hurt. He has been behind other quarterbacks. He's never had the chance to develop. And they became enamored with the type of individual he is, how intelligent he is, what a leader he is. Like, he's a great guy to be around. But he hasn't had time to develop. It takes time. And the fact of the matter is, they're very fortunate. I said this on ESPN this morning. Think about this. How many football teams would be able to trade 3 ones with on the pick, still have jobs, and still be one of the best teams in the NFL? Like, that is a testament to the job that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have done. I don't know that there's 31 other teams that could have survived that. Forget about surviving it. They're thriving by wasting 3 ones, right? Like, it's unbelievable to think about that they squandered all that. There are franchises that give up so much for quarterbacks that don't hit on the pick, and the organization is set back for years. They've never been set back. They just keep rolling on. And I think that speaks to the job that everybody there has done.
You're in midseason form here. The Jonathan Taylor situation and what the Colts would want in return, if they are indeed going to trade him, would be what?
Well, I think they want a steep price, whatever that is, right? The market will determine that. And here's the issue. Again, to me, either you make the trade, or to me, what's most logical is you just re-sign Jonathan Taylor. Like, he's 24 years old. He's one of the great young players in the league. They need somebody like that to build around their young rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson. Why would you not re-sign the guy? And let him grow with your quarterback. So whatever you come up with, I just look at what the Colts themselves got back for Marshall Faulk. It was a 2 and a 5. And to me, in my mind, I know they want a first-round pick value, But I think that's what we're talking about. Something along those lines is probably a 2.5. So is it worth it to take a 2.5, hypothetically, or is it worth it to go re-sign the guy? What I don't think he could do is I don't think he could sit in the middle and ride the fence, because he's not going to be motivated to play. It's going to hang over the team all season long. It's going to be toxic and unpleasant for everybody. So either sign him, which I think would be a really good move, or trade him. One or the other. You can't sit in the middle in no man's land.
Thanks for joining us on short notice, and we appreciate your time as always. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
That's Adam Schefter of the Mothership, our buddy there, joining us with all the gory details there with Andrew Luck.